This is the Oakwyn Podcast, featuring Morgan Brown and Michael Yu.
Welcome to the Oakwyn Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Yu.
And I'm Arlene Chiang.
And I'm the Podfather.
Arlene is here today.
It's me again, everybody. Hi.
Yeah, I know you guys were probably expecting Morgan, so you probably shut off the podcast now. I'm just kidding.
Ouch. So painful. So painful.
I think the Oakwyn Podcast is the Morgan Brown podcast featuring Michael, Yu, and Braden.
And now I'm stepping up. I gotta fill Morgan's shoes.
But you got some exciting stuff going on at home, right, Ar?
I do.
Yeah, what happened?
Finally, 8 months after starting a reno, I'm moving back home.
Okay, let's rewind here. So lots of people think about starting a reno, but like doing a reno or to actually move. So, there's like TV shows that are like, did you ever have that consideration? Were you thinking about moving or doing a reno? Okay.
It was a big kind of, what's the next stage for our family? Do we upsize a little bit? Do we do a lateral move? Do we try to keep this property and do and buy something with my in-laws? So lots of different decision making. Lots of things to think about.
So tell me about that process. Like, how do you do that process? Do you write it down? Like, what do you do?
I did not write it down.
Clearly.
But which is against everything Michael stands for. But you
don't have a decision tree?
No, I'm like Morgan. I'm intuitive.
Yeah.
I'm intuitive. I let my gut do the talking. But I did a little bit of course, we're in real estate and I did some research and, went to go look at some houses first to see, if I decided to do a move with my in-laws, what would a house look like that would make sense for us as that's
a big family life change.
It would be.
Yeah, right?
It would be. I don't live with my in-laws right now, but they're getting older and it would be nice.
You're going to put them on a tent in your backyard.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Okay.
Well,
big backyard.
We grew up with our grandparents.
No, not really. Like your Peter, the Arlene's father-in-law, will be like Oscar the Grouch.
No, he wouldn't. What are you talking about?
I'm just joking. This is called podcasting.
What are you talking about?
It's a joke. It's called improv.
Yeah, you're supposed to riff on this. Come on,
it.
You're supposed to be like, he's a big bird.
I'm Big Bird. Okay. I'm Snuffleupagus. This is podcasting.
Podcasting 101.
Oh my God, this is early. This is early in the morning when we're doing this podcast. Arlene has had her first sip of coffee. I'm just joking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we lived with our grandparents.
Yeah, we did live with our grandparents.
Right? Going back to I was like, do I talk about Count Dracula? I don't even know. But
you could.
Who was your favorite Sesame Street character?
The favorite Sesame Street character? Well, Snuffleupagus was high.
He was up there, right?
Yeah, no. Snuffleupagus was actually high.
Oh,
he was.
You don't mean he was up there in your list of favorite characters?
Because he's like a dopey, like, hey. You don't remember Snuffleupagus?
I do.
He's the elephant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's a mammoth.
Is he a woolly mammoth?
I think so.
Yeah. He had yeah. I like Bert.
Bert and Ernie.
Yeah,
Bert.
But I like Bert.
Huh.
Yeah.
Bert is the
he's the
surlier one.
Yeah, okay.
The grumpy guy.
Grumpy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
I wouldn't picture that with you.
I don't know. Because he's funny.
Yeah.
Who do you like, Elmo?
I don't think I was super into Sesame Street. I was more of a Mr. Dress-Up kind of gal.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Canadian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I wasn't really into
that was the first ASMR.
And the polka dot door.
Because remember Mr. Dress-Up used to cut the construction paper?
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember when he used to cut the construction paper?
And then?
You could just get the sound of the cutting paper.
Yeah.
And now it's all like Morgan and I always joke, and Sean and I always joke, and I think they have a weird fetish about it. About like ASMR. Do you know what ASMR is?
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah.
It's like this phenomenon.
Yeah, it's like but then Mr. Jessup was the first. I guess that's where it came from for them.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, about your house.
Right. Okay. So investigated, looked at a house with my in-laws and said, okay, is this big enough? How big do we have to go if we're going to live together? I was like, okay, I can't afford this. Not going to happen for like 5 more years. So, thought, okay, that's not going to work. And, our kids are getting older. And so you feel this need to have more space. And, we love our neighborhood. We had already done a kitchen reno and we hadn't
Beautiful
yet done a basement. Our basement was half unfinished. And so, it made sense to just do a reno instead.
Did you put a timeline on when they're moving in or?
Oh, my in-laws, like I was thinking, well, no, I think we might buy something in 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. The house we're in right now is a cute little character house. And, so we just thought, okay, this is perfect for us. We'll get the basement ready and we'll get it ready to be suited. So we got it all. So we're thinking ahead of time and thinking, okay, we'll get the plumbing and stuff all set so that we can get it suited if we ever decide to keep it as an investment or, kids move out and we need to rent out the basement, that sort of thing. Or in-laws want to move in. It's all ready to go. So... yeah, so we went through that
Kept
whole
your options
process.
open.
Kept the options open.
Are you happy with it?
Very happy.
Tell us about your renovation journey, or was it a nightmare?
I'd say it was a little bit of both. So if you're going for a reno, there are certain things that will require a permit.
I know where this is going.
This starts well.
Right? And,
we're in a permitted space right now.
We are.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And so in Vancouver and in many municipalities, there are a lot of houses. A lot of
sweating
houses.
There. I'm kidding.
There will be a lot of houses that will have some unpermitted work. So even if you moved your sink 2 feet over to the right, that requires a permit, right? So in Vancouver, and when you're buying and selling homes, lots of renovations may have required a permit. They may have gotten a permit. They may not have. For this basement reno, I decided to do it without a permit.
Right.
And a month in, I get a nice yellow notice on my door. Stop work, permit. And so, I had to go through, we went through the city, did everything properly.
Yeah.
And 8 months later, we're in our house now.
Okay, what was the anticipated amount of time you were supposed to be out of there? And
anticipated would have been about 2.5 months.
And where did you live, my dear sister?
We moved in with my mom.
Oh, that is what my version of like purgatory / hell would be. To live with my mom for 8 months. Woo!
Yeah. Straight back to high school. Eh?
We actually haven't had my mom on the podcast.
You wish she would be a great
host. So my mom is like I can describe her as the Chinese Roseanne Barr. She's kind of loud. She's really like, she's very like, she's not like, if you remember Roseanne?
Yes.
Yeah, she's kind of like the center of the family. She's like the queen.
She was canceled a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, I've been canceling her for a while.
Yeah,
but she always finds her way back.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't actually, because it's been COVID. I think it was a blessing for her because she lives alone in a big house, and I think it was really nice for her to have our family, including my 2 kids and my husband, living with her. And I actually enjoyed having my kids get to know her better and feel like they really got to know their grandma.
Okay. Stop being so political. What was the reality? What was the worst thing?
The worst thing is cooking with mom because everything is wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm the best cook. You never cook. What are you talking about?
My mom doesn't know how to, she doesn't know how to cook really, right?
She secretly says she does. Although we've never enjoyed her cooking.
She's an invisible expert.
Yeah.
Just her criticism. You enjoy her criticism.
I enjoy her criticism daily.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
I can't imagine it being so like, because she's just right on top of you. Like we went on a trip, we went on a trip to the island with mom and my family, and it was only 2 days. 2 days. And
how did you feel?
I felt like overwhelmed. Like there was like this.
Owned?
Yeah, I felt so owned. My confidence was just like shot. I was like, okay, I'm no good at this. Bad dad, bad son.
I can't cook.
Can't cook. Bad brother. Don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, oh God, what the hell?
What specifically, is there a story that you can share about your experience staying with mom for 2 days?
I think
with
because
your family?
it's like my mom is like, she's a very dominant personality. She's like, if you do a personality profile of mom, she'd be a heavy D, right? Have you ever heard of a disc personality?
Yeah, but what's a heavy D?
Disc is dominant. So D is so there's dominant, there's influential, and then there's like socially conscious, right? That's those are the three kind of personality traits of the disc profile. My mom is like a heavy D. She doesn't care what other people think. She is pretty charismatic, pretty influencing, but she's also just a heavy dominant person. And so she was just specifically, it was like because we have a 5-month-old kid or 4-month-old. This is Soph's 5th month birthday.
Happy birthday, Soph.
Happy birthday, Soph.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be listening to this when you're older.
Of course.
But yeah, so it was just like, just the commentary on like, and this is, I guess, a struggle for a lot of parents, right? Like commentary on how to raise your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just take
how do
it
you
in.
deal with that?
I just say yes when she's there.
You don't try and debate her on anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
Why?
Yeah, I guess there's no
The
point.
effort
Yeah.
to refute it at the moment does not make any
See,
sense.
that's probably the better way of doing it. I like I'm like, no, like this is my daughter. Like, get out of here. It's like, you think you're the expert. I've had 5 kids. Look at you guys. You're all doing well. And I was like, I basically just say, hey, did you have a kid as cute as this? And she's like, Alex was pretty cute.
Alex was cute.
My kid brother was very
He
cute.
was very cute.
I don't think we were very cute. We were
Average.
very below average. Baby cute. Yeah, but Soph's very cute.
Brandon, did you get a lot of advice from your parents or in-laws about how to raise your kids?
Well, my mother-in-law is currently our primary caregiver for our kids, so I don't really need advice because she's doing it a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But from my parents, they're pretty like careful because my brother is such a like he's the dominant. He's like, I have to be right about every single thing, and if you try and like tell him he's wrong, he'll debate you till the death. And so they just, I mean, as a matter of practice, they just kind of like, they're kind of hands off. So it's kind of nice. They give me advice when I ask for it, and they don't really try and impart too much of their own kind of, this is how you do things. It's nice.
That's very nice.
Quite different from what we experienced on the daily.
Sounds like it.
I was like, your daughter has a like flat head on one side, and I was like, oh, come on.
I told you that too.
Yeah, and I was like, she's perfect, and she's like, no,
you need to rotate her, Michael. You need to rotate her.
This. You're not.
She
doing
likes
this
her
right.
left.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to wake her up. But what would be your parenting style? Like, let's talk about like parenting styles. What would be yours, Are? Do you have a parenting style? What
would be terminologies of different parenting styles?
Like wrestling, jujitsu. No, no, like, do you have like maybe a parenting role model or like some form of like parenting? Like, do you have like a way in which you raise your kids? Do you ever think about that at all?
No, because it's going to annoy everybody. I'm very instinctual. I am. I whatever I feel is right. And I guess, you look at your own upbringing and see how you were raised, and then you impart that on how you think is the best way to raise your kids.
Okay. So what are some things you imparted?
I focus on just making them feel very loved. I think that's the key to everything, is if they feel loved and secure, then they'll grow up to be really safe and secure, esteemed people. Right. Mm-hmm. But if they don't feel safe or they don't feel like they've been loved in life, then I think that's probably where a lot of issues stem from, right? So always telling them how much I love them and, proud of them and, but teaching them lessons when they're silly and crazy. But yeah, that's what I focus on, is just making sure they feel loved.
Yeah.
How about you, Brandon?
I guess I'm I try to encourage them a lot, like very like, you know, even if they're not good at something, you say, "Oh, good job with that, really good job." And I feel like I'm pretty like, I kind of like to let them learn their own lessons. Like, you know, if they're trying to climb up to the you know, the 10th step and they're going to fall off and break their neck, I'll stop them. But like, you know, we let our kids climb up on the high chairs pretty early, like the bar stools and stuff like that. And like, yeah, they fell off a couple times, but they're, you know, it's kind of like, let them learn their own lessons. Yeah. And then they kind of like, we've found that their motor skills have advanced because we've let them kind of be a little bit more dangerous and with some limits. But then, yeah, there's certain things that like this is the difference between me and my wife, is when the kids are doing something that I see that I'm like, you need to know that that's wrong. Right. Like, you know, I don't know, I guess one of them hits another one or something like that. Then it's an immediate like jump in, stern talking to, and I remove them from the situation, like very like swift and like, you know, punishment has to fit the crime, right? Whereas my wife is very like, oh, let's talk about it. And I just feel like that's where we differ, is she thinks that you got to always have that gentle touch, whereas I think you got to, at some point, you got to draw the line and like they need to know, right? So that, I don't know, that's my parenting style. I don't know, what about you, Michael? Have you developed one?
I'm finding my way, you know, so I'm just learning from you guys. So Arlene, that instinctual, to me, I think that's someone that doesn't care that much.
She knew you were going to rip on her for that.
I'm kidding. It might be lazy.
Or it might be you putting your own things onto your own kid all the time.
I'm kidding.
All
kidding.
The time.
Jeez, relax.
I feel so sorry for baby Sophie. Her auntie's gonna have to rescue her.
Probably. Overbearing dad here. But then like Braden, you kind of, have you ever heard of how Jeff Bezos teaches his kids, like the Amazon founder?
No.
He has this philosophy. Yeah, he's like, he has a philosophy like yours. He says like he'd rather have a kid that has 9 fingers than a kid that doesn't know how to how to handle a knife or something like that. Yeah, totally. So he'd rather have a kid that has 9. So he like lets them kind of, gives them
this
that.
Does not sound like you.
Yeah, no, I said that's Braden was mentioning this. This is not me. I wouldn't do that.
No knives till you're 16.
No.
I was like, Mike doesn't even let Sophie down ever. Like he like carries her like a princess. She's like on a cloud every single day.
She's always levitating.
She's like a cloud.
And she's gonna be levitating through life.
That's nice.
But I'll happily carry her around. No. Yeah, I'm just but yeah, just, you know, it is learning. It is a learning process. And I'm a new dad, so I don't have like concrete philosophies yet, but I'm just kind of like, I do like observe and try to like take lessons where I can. And yeah, so, you know, I'm probably a bit too overbearing, but you know.
Yeah, it'll even out. Like you'll kind of realize at some point, probably if you are too overbearing, you'll probably realize at some point, like, this is a lot of work, and it's not like, you know, maybe you see it's not having a positive effect or whatever. I don't know. You just kind of shift your perspective, and it happens like 40 times a year.
Totally. Speaking about parenting and authority figures.
Here comes a segue.
This goes a segue. Oh yeah,
that was a good one.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the cool down period that was just kind of proposed from the BCFSA.
Not from the BCFSA.
No, Arlene, go ahead.
We'll edit that.
No, you don't need to edit it.
Okay, all right.
Shows how much I know about this stuff. Go ahead, Ar.
Okay, 2 different things. Well, okay, so the cooling down period was announced by the BC government as a potential regulation to help cool down the real estate market. Yes. So as a legislation.
Right.
The BCFSA is our regulator, formerly known as the Real Estate Council of British Columbia.
Right.
Which amalgamated with other financial services earlier this summer. So if everyone who wants to hear about this.
Well, you know, I was just testing you and you passed. So I just wanted to bust you to make, okay, you passed, Tar. I knew that. So up next, we're going to talk about the proposed cool down,
Cooling.
policy,
Cooling down.
cool down period policy from the BC government. And that's coming up next. Arlene, what do you think about our swag that we have at the office?
It's awesome.
Yeah. What's your favorite piece?
I always like the umbrella.
Ooh, yeah, the umbrella.
I never give that out for free. I never give that out for free. But maybe.
Yeah. What's the slogan on the umbrella? Do you remember?
Work hard, stay humble.
No, it's working rain or shine.
Damn it.
And if you want a piece of free mystery swag or free swag, maybe an umbrella, and you want to learn more about Oakwyn, go to our webpage at oakwyn.com/join and type in the message box pod 2021.
Nice.
And you'll meet one of our leaders and you'll receive a free piece of mystery swag.
Welcome back, everybody. If you wanted to talk about rules and regulations, you reached the right person. This is Arlene Chiang, your managing broker.
People are like just pressing. So in podcasts, people can speed up or speed down.
Oh,
people
they're
are just speeding up.
I'm so
30 seconds forward, 30 seconds forward.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Feels like my life.
All right.
But important things for people and agents to know is understanding kind of our regulatory system. I think it helps to give you guys some perspective of who to talk to, who to reach out to, what's going on. Some context. What's going on in BC. Let's start with some context. So the BCFSA, also known as the British Columbia Financial Services Authority, came to be this past summer. It replaced our former regulator, the Real Estate Council of British Columbia. And they are here to protect the public during life's big decisions. So they are looking at overseeing all financial transactions in British Columbia. So what they did was pull all the different sectors, and so that included real estate professionals, real estate developers, mortgage brokers, credit union resources, insurance resources, pension and trust companies. Jeez. All of that now is rolled into one
I think it's a good
regulator. To oversee its practices and to protect the consumer. Right? So that is the BCFSA. Okay. And then we have the board that you may be a part of. Each realtor may be involved with a different membership of your local board. So for us, it's the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver. And these are the people that help you with your membership and help you with understanding how you play in the sandbox with other realtors. So they give you the rules of cooperation often of how you conduct yourself in business. So that's another kind of overseeing party of how realtors
and they also
engage.
Govern the MLS, right?
And they that's the main piece that they deal with is the multiple listing service.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you.
Well, the board actually, because I've been Arlene and I both volunteered at the board.
We have,
you're on the discipline.
I was on the professional conduct committee.
Yeah, you're on professional conduct, and I've been on the board development committee for their leadership. For 3 years now, still. Yeah, so like it's a great organization. It's actually one of the largest boards in Canada, professional boards in Canada, with the membership that's in there, and it's pretty cool.
What does the board development committee do? Because I think it's time for nominations.
Yeah, it's nominations pretty soon. So the board development committee. In short, we take directives from the board of directors who oversee the CEO and the operations of the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver, and we take direction from them to be able to recommend certain nominees to the to leadership at the as a director on the board. So we interview each member of that all the candidates. We we guide and suggest certain people to run for leadership positions, and it's been a lot of fun. We got lots of governance training. We got lots of different kind of educational pieces, and it's been really rewarding and fun, and it's a great team of people as well. So it's been cool.
Cool. Well, that's Michael hard at work at the board.
Yeah.
Hard at work at the board. And then you have the BCREA.
Right.
So BC Real Estate Association.
Yeah.
See, it's so confusing if you
Right.
don't know
So many
all of
acronyms.
this, right?
Yeah.
So BCREA is our provincial advocacy group membership that you're also, if you didn't know, you're a part of, because if you're part of any board, you'll be part of BCREA. And they work towards uniting a realtors or agents' voice for policy, against government policy, or, try to position what realtors are doing. They do a lot in education. So they have great support services. They deal with all of your forms that you see on web forms. Those are all produced by BCREA. So again, another great layer that for you to understand. And they really advocate for or lobby for realtor and real estate practices in government. So that leads us to the cooling down period.
Yeah, so this is obviously being proposed, and you want to talk a little bit about it, Ar?
Yeah, so it's looking at the BC government is looking at putting this out in spring of 2022, and the impetus for this is the last few months, COVID, and the last couple years, real estate has been thriving in BC.
Right.
Mike, would you maybe just a quick color commentary on
sure
on the market?
On the market, COVID market.
So obviously, it was a big surprise to a lot of, I think to everybody, in the midst of a pandemic, that a real estate market, the prices were driven up, the supply is really low, lots of activity, like an incredible amount of activity. We're at 10-year highs for both activity and pricing for, all markets. So condos, townhouses, detached, commercial properties, which is mind blowing to think, which really, that's from a general market perspective. So I think, a lot of buyers are feeling very, very either pinched out or being left out of home ownership, which is kind of, an impetus for this, ways in which to level the playing field a little bit, right? Which is this cool down kind of. So the cool down, we're not sure what the duration is going to be. Some people are thinking that it's going to be a 7-day cool down period. Some people think it's going to be 48 hours. It's hard to say.
Yeah. So what a cooling down period is, what we see it now in our pre-sale market. Yep. So if you are buying a pre-sale, this is a legislation, a new development,
pre-construction,
project sales.
Yep.
If you're buying a project sales, this is under the Real Estate Development and Marketing Act.
Yep.
REDMA. Another acronym.
Fun.
So I know I'm just throwing them out there today.
Right.
Mike's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So under REDMA,
I've heard of that before.
Under REDMA, there's a 7-day rescission period.
Yeah.
Right. So once you write a contract on a brand new property, one that you've never seen, you get 7 days as a purchaser for your consumer protection to read through the documentation, to make sure you understand what you're buying, so that you feel comfortable moving forward, purchasing this property that's going to eventually be built.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is a similar idea.
Yeah.
This cooling down period would allow a purchaser the time and space to make sure they're not going into a rushed decision.
Right.
And so what we know now in the rescission period is 7 days. Now, whether or not that is what's going to happen in
resale
spring,
properties?
in resale,
Yeah.
I don't see it happening for 7 days, but having that period for a buyer to really consider what they're buying is what the government is trying to do.
Yeah, and during that cool down period, or the 7-day rescission period, when it comes to project sales and to new home construction, you can actually rescind the agreement for any reason at all. Like, you don't have, it doesn't have to be because of fail to finance. It doesn't have to be because of some document thing. You can actually just rescind for any reason that you'd like. So this, I think that they're proposing it to have some similar type of impacts where, for like, so that you're able to make a really informed decision. And so go ahead.
Well, what we've seen in this market particularly is there's a very low supply, which brings in many, many buyers to one property. Right. And so what happens is many times the only way that you can get the property as a purchaser, you might be, bidding quite high, or you might be going in with no subjects, which means really you're just, you see the property, you love it, and you've done enough due diligence in advance, hopefully, to feel comfortable with your financing decisions and buying that particular property. And so you go in with no subjects,
Right.
And so, I think this cooling down period is allowing a purchaser that time to really think about their purchase before jumping the gun.
Yeah.
And then also for a seller's point of view, maybe, you've got a purchaser who ended up going in quickly and then regrets their decision, and then they don't want to close. And then that affects your seller who is now relying on that buyer to close. And now all of a sudden the buyer's like, I made a mistake. I'm not going to buy the property.
Right.
Right. And so that's what I think some of the dynamics of what the government is trying to do is to just slow people down a little bit so that they have a chance to catch their breath. And, it's a big financial decision, right? So that's kind of, I think, the idea behind it.
Yeah. And, I think for anything, but obviously for professional real estate, I think a lot of, I don't know if you remember a few years ago, when they announced all those new disclosures, the disclosure representing trading services, the disclosure of expected remuneration.
No more limited dual agency.
Some of our colleagues, not at Oakwyn, but some of our other broker owners and a few other people, they were kind of up in arms about it, to like fight and kind of like be really, like try to go against these types of changes. And how did we handle it at Oakwyn?
Well, I think when these things come at you, you have a choice to either embrace and drive the change, or which one of our core values, FYI, or
on the website,
www.oakwyn.com. Or you spend a lot of energy in negativity. You spend a lot of energy in complaining, right? Versus let's think of creative solutions of how to integrate this into our business.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Can I guess which one you guys did?
Well, we fought. No. We refused to comply.
It was the negative one, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, we spent the time to just say, okay, let's get educated and let's train.
Yeah.
Let's train. Let's get everybody on the same page, understanding what's going on so that we can better serve our customers, right? What else can you do? It's happening. So same as I think same as this, it's happening. It's announced. We don't know what the parameters are going to be. So you can advocate for, maybe shorter periods, maybe not 7 days. There are, they're calling out for consultation. So this is an opportunity for you to, put out your opinions. And, but roll with the punches, my friend.
Yeah, I think it's, you obviously, like Arlene said, you're given a choice. And for us, I think you can take it to your advantage, in a lot of ways as a professional in real estate. I think it's a good policy because it makes it more fair for buyers to be able to purchase properties. It levels the playing field a little bit. I think all agents, and I'll admit for myself in my practice, we've written no subject offers where we're like, are you is this the best thing for you to really do? Like,
are you sure?
Are you sure you want to do this? And we feel like we have to take lawful instructions from our clients. And I have had a few moral dilemmas in the past of writing no subject offers and doing these types of things, and did not feel comfortable. It at the end of the day, because we got so lucky that the market just spiked up, that it all problems kind of just go under a rug. But if the market just plummeted, they weren't going to be able to get financing and get an appraisal done in time. Like all these kind of things that, anything could happen. And, so, I want to say that, luck had a lot to do, and luck did have a lot to do with it. But I think all agents have been in that position before that have written no subject offers where they felt that level of uncomfortability, right?
And, I bought my house in a multiple offer.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was not really looking at the time, but I found there was a great opportunity. I had a buyer, those buyers that stay on with you for a year and a half, Iqbal. Thank you, Iqbal. And so his automatic search kept on popping up, and it wasn't the house for him. He was looking for Vancouver special. But I was like, oh my God, I love this house. I got to go see it.
Yeah, it needs a renovation.
It needs renovation. I love it. And so, but I ended
it was like
up
10 years ago, right?
10 years ago. It wasn't not the same, market we're in now, but it still it was still in multiple offers.
Yep.
And, as a purchaser, if I had a rescission period, I think the seller's main fear is, okay, rescission period, buyer puts an offer together, buyer puts it in, and they're going to walk away. I don't think I would have changed my mind about buying that house, if I had 24 hours to sit on it.
You weren't really financially like super ready to buy that house.
So?
Okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. Arlene gives you the political answer.
No,
I'm just joking.
But no, like seriously, if I had to, if the government told me, okay, you got to wait 24 hours or 48 hours before you, and I put mine in no subjects too at that time. Even, and I, as Michael said, I didn't have money. I was like, what are our completions coming up?
Arlene, okay, because Arlene and I have been working together for a long time, over 15 years in real estate. But even before then, you might have heard one of our old pods about us working together and going to school together and everything. So like when she bought that house, I remember her, she's like,
I do whatever every buyer does.
She was like panting.
I don't have the money.
Arlene was like panting. She's like, Mike, I found a house. You got to see it. There's an open house. Go there now. It's like a stampede of people. And I was like, I'm at an open house right now. It's like, I'll tell him to call him, tell him that you're coming later. And so I went to look at the house with the agent. And so that agent, which is a funny story, was the son of my third grade elementary school teacher.
Oh my
Small
God.
world.
And I was like,
small world.
I was like, Slater, you're not having to, do you know a Mrs. Slater? And then he's like, that was his last name. He's like, Mrs. Slater is my mother. And I was like, I went to school. She taught me grade 3. And we started chatting. We were laughing and joking. And I was like, okay, Tim, like, what do we got to do to get this thing? And then, but when Arlene and I were humming, there was an offer time. Arlene and I were humming and hawing at like a local Chinese diner.
HK Cafe.
HK Cafe.
For those of you who remember the beloved Honolulu Cafe on Main Street, which is now replaced by Meat on Main.
Yeah. And so we were humming and hawing, and it was so funny because I was laughing because Arlene's like, okay, what are our completions that we have coming up? Because I don't have the down payment for this place. And I was like, ooh, I don't know. And she's like, what are your leads looking like? And I was like, we can't buy property on leads. I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to close these leads. And she's like, you'll close them. We'll close them. I'm like, oh man, I'm like stressed out about this thing.
So she sucked you into her purchase.
Well, because we're partners, right? And we've been partners for a long time. And I'm like, I'm in it too, and if she fails, I fail. If I fail, she fails. It's like the same thing, right? We're in the same boat. And I was like, ooh, I don't know. But it was a really nice house, right? So the one that we just talked about her renovating.
Renovation. So I'm
so
still
if there was a cool down period, I think that would have worked I think you still would have bought the house.
I think I still would have bought the house.
Yeah.
You're right. And I think that's everyone's fear is how is this going to affect the market for sellers too, right? Like, if I'm a seller, I don't know if I want a cooling down period because I think the knee-jerk reaction is, okay, all these buyers are going to come over or come to my property, right? An offer that they're not serious about because they can get out of the contract kind of scot-free, right? But I think for the most part, most buyers are earnest and serious and working in good faith that they're going to purchase that property. Like they're not writing a no subject offer because they are thinking that they're not going to buy that property.
That's
right?
most buyers are that way, but we all worked with the clients and write offers on everything.
That's
and because
true.
hopefully
That's
something
true.
sticks, and
Yeah.
if they don't, they put a financing clause on it, and that whatever happens, right?
Yeah.
And so I think at this stage, if there is a cool down period put together, I think it's really about sharpening our skills, right? And
absolutely.
And really looking at it as as a competitive advantage. I feel like all these things, like the disclosures, all these kind of things, make really good professional top like high integrity agents do even better than, because it kind of qualifies out a lot of agents that don't have the communication skills, marketing skills, relationships, to reputation to be able to navigate through.
It's getting more and more complex.
Yeah, it's getting more and more complex. Like I remember when we first started, like we did listings, we were like 3 pages, and then like we didn't even have to collect people's ID. We were like, what's your name? How do you spell that?
Exactly.
Suitcase full of money? Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it was like so different back then. Like I remember door knocking, signing a listing, and not checking someone's ID. Like, and we listed it, this is like in 2006, and we would just like ask them what their like name was, and then they'd be like, they spell out their full name. No, I just need the first initial. And that was kind of like how it was back then. And now it's more complex, it's more regulated, which I think is a good thing. But we need to level up.
That's right. Yeah, it's a great opportunity and challenge for us to rise to the challenge and work harder for buyers and sellers.
So when it does if we put ourselves in the shoes of a buyer's agent, okay, what skills do you think we're going to need to level up in terms of?
I think qualifying your buyer is going to be
totally.
number one, because you don't want to waste your time on somebody who's willy-nilly like, I'm going to write an offer and then 24 hours.
I think I've worked with willy-nilly before.
Maybe. Mike's like, you're the worst podcaster. God.
What the hell? That is hilarious. You're supposed to riff.
Slow pitch, and she just watches it fall to the ground.
Brayden, help me out. You're the podfather.
Okay, next one. I got you.
You're the
what are you
podfather.
doing? You're supposed to react and be like...
It's because I know you for so long. I can't even deal with you. I can't even deal. It's all I do is just look at him. Like I can't even deal with it.
That's a pretty good joke.
Okay, yeah.
God.
God.
You're so corny.
It's called witty. Okay. It's called improvisation. This is why people tune into the podcast. Reason why
I need to take an improv class then. If I'm going to,
you could. Or you could just like turn that light bulb on. Okay. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Please go on.
Qualify your buyers.
Qualify your buyer.
Don't work with Willy.
Willy-nilly.
What were you supposed to say to that? What would you say? Willy-nilly. I think I've worked with willy-nilly
You
before.
said willy-nilly, and I'm referring to a person called willy-nilly.
Yeah.
So you can say, we've all worked. You can say like we've all worked with willy-nilly.
Oh, that guy's the worst.
Like, you work with the same person.
Like it's a real person.
Willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Willy-nilly.
Arlene's like, I don't think I remember seeing that contract come across my table.
I was like, did we work with a willy-nilly? Sorry, guys.
Did we work with a willy-nilly? Oh my God, where's Morgan? we should bring her back in from Hawaii. Jeez. Okay, pre-qualifying. God. Oh.
Sorry, everybody.
No, you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Okay, buyer's agent. Pre-qualify your buyer. That's going to be, I think, numero uno.
Yeah.
That's the numero uno.
So, yeah, I would agree with Arlene. The second, I think, is obviously bringing up our communication skills to follow with the listing agent, because when the playing field is level, you want to be able to stand out. Your buyer needs to really stick out to the seller, not only in terms of price, but also now I think even more so than price, it's going to be integrity. It's going to be how high integrity is your client. So we're going to want to we would plan potentially doing a digital presentation and kind of getting to know the buyer a little bit more, so that because anyone could write this astronomical price, and then if they don't in a competitive environment, if they don't complete or they decide to rescind on the agreement because everyone has a cool down period, then you have to, as a seller, I would probably take the more conservative sure thing at a price that I'm really happy with versus shooting for the moon and not being sure if this person's going to go through and then going back through that process, which is not always a strong thing, right?
Yeah. And I think as an agent now, this is a chance for you, for your reputation to shine.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
Because the other agent working with you on this is going to look at yourself as a professional and say, hey, is Michael going to get this done? Is he going to be able to get his client through this transaction to feel comfortable with their decision?
Totally.
Right. And so you're going to be looking much more, I think, at the professional that you're working with to say, do I know this person? Do they do good transactions? Do they work ethically? And do they work with integrity that I'm going to believe that if he brings me a buyer, they're going to actually go through with something, right? So I think it's going to really level out the real estate professional playing field, because the people who do business and are in it to really be in it as a full career are going to stand out.
Totally. And, on the listing side as well, you're going to be able to, I think you're going to have to do more investigation for each buyer. So let's say you are in a multiple offer situation, you're going to want to, do we do like, this is just a brainstorm. It's not something that I'm thinking about doing or anything, but do we do like an application process or like some form of like qualification? Do we check references? Do we do these types of things? Like, is it a bit more how do we qualify every buyer? Like, so these are things to kind of think about. Now, this is coming spring 2022, so it's not something we want to overthink about, but it's kind of a real estate hot topic, right?
It is. I mean, I think your phone exploded the day the news came out, and there's kind of this. I felt that people felt panicked about it for, because it's like, this is going to change everything, and it is going to change, but we don't know yet exactly what the proposals are going to be. You can look at other countries or states that have done this. So Australia has a cooling down period.
They do.
You can see what they've done, and so everyone, it's another change that we'll have to kind of just embrace.
Yeah, and when there are these changes, there's that immediate like panic because. Many of us agents have had our best years ever. And so anything that changes to get us derailed from this ride is something we don't want anything to do with. But actually, I think we can take it as a positive. And if you have a lot of care, skill, and ability, you're just going to be able to, I think, be able to produce more, be able to navigate through these waters more successfully. And I've actually I don't know why. I was talking to an agent and they were talking about, have you heard of Wushu before?
Is it willy-nilly?
Hey, that's getting better. Hey. I'm proud of you. No, Wushu is like it's like kung fu. So basically Wushu is like you take someone else's force and you apply that force. You it's kind of like Tai Chi.
Okay.
Kind of.
Oh, so it's like in
Ip Man?
Aikido or whatever?
Yeah.
No, what's that new Avenger? Oh, Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
It's like Shang-Chi. It's like that's the way that the mom fights.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the way the mom fights. So like
okay.
Yeah. So basically, you take these external forces and you try and you want to leverage and use those forces for to your advantage versus you take these forces and you fight bluntly against these forces. It causes a lot of friction and a lot of
you lose energy,
car crashes type of thing. Whereas, you want to take that energy and take that change and then, reposition it for your redirect it in a way that will serve you better. Right. And I think we can level up. And I think it's honestly a great thing. And I'm looking forward to the cool down period. I think it's going to be cool. Oh shit, that's such a bad. That's even okay. Now I'm just off.
Yeah, you're reaching now, Mike.
I'm really reaching now.
With that note,
I'm going to reach for the exit button. Okay, on that note, guys, thanks so much for listening to the Oakwyn podcast with Arlene Chiang.
Thanks, guys.
And Braden. And thank you guys so much for listening to the Oakwyn podcast. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please rate us
10 out of 10?
5 out of 5. Come on, Arlene.
God.
So out of practice.
practice.
Oh, geez. Okay.
No, that was my joke.
Oh, yeah. That's good. Yeah. Okay, great. Rate us an A+ on the podcast platform you're listening to it at. And if you're interested in Oakwyn and learning more, go to our website at oakwyn.com/join, type in the message box pod 2021, and you'll receive a free piece of mystery swag. Okay, till next time, guys. Thanks so much for listening.